Oh, Jesus.
Luke, where are you? Yeah. Nailed it. Off to a flying start, Zach. Only
Hey,
took 7 seconds.
Let me start it for the fucking audio show. Okay. Jesus, I'm trying to get an intro here. Here we are. We're back. Hello, Lombardi sweep. There we go. Okay, so Packers cuts were today. We're just going to hang out, talk about Packers cuts, basically. Who made the team, who didn't make the team. What we are raising a question mark eyebrow raised to. Luke, what do you got?
I just wanted to say to everyone that these two said I was not allowed to come on the show today if we didn't win every game in beanbags today, and we won 3-0. So that's why I'm here.
That's why we only want winners here.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet lost at beanbags, so she's not here.
Right.
Obviously. But
Janet lost at life being in Texas. Really, if you think about it.
It's been a tough past 6 months for her.
Yes, it has. Let's start with the preseason game first, just because there's a little bit of takeaways, I guess. The Packers played the Bills. Packers didn't score again. Mason Crosby punted. That was interesting because J.K. Scott had a cramp, and I was very angry about that, but luckily he got released today, so good news came from that. Other than that, though, I mean, my notes from this game are pretty much fucking pointless. It's like, I thought Ben Braden really impressed me. Like, he moved to right tackle, looked good at tackle. He's gone. Royce Newman played like shit. Everyone's saying he's the best Packer of the entire preseason, which, great. I have a clip here. I cut one video because if we remember here, when he was drafted, I believe I said he has good feet, he has good hands, but he's incapable of hitting a moving target. And after everyone had been applauding him for the past few days now, I decided to watch back the preseason game. Can we see this here? Perfect. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, how he's not capable of hitting a moving target. This is an RB screen to the right.
Why does it say RN screen? This is poor. Poor from you.
Royce Newman, that's his initials, dumb fucker. Here we go. Okay. Here he is. Oh my God. He is very good at football.
He blocked Amari Rodgers.
Yes, he did. Look at his angle. He comes out here. Okay, good release. His job is this guy or this guy if he shows. He's already going right here. This is his aiming spot now, which is terrible. Look at it. This is the guy who the Packers are like, oh, we found another gem. And he almost...
I didn't know he was recreating Brokeback Mountain with Amari Rodgers. It's kind of weird. Also, it took me a while to figure out that was Amari Rodgers because I could have sworn for a moment it was Randall Cobb since they're the same player. But
yeah, it looked just like Randall Cobb out there. Insane. I just don't get it because they're talking about Royce Newman, top graded offensive lineman of the preseason, which again means nothing. 0 pressures. If you look on Twitter, I showed a pressure immediately in that third game. He also had like 4 one-on-ones the entire game and gave up pressures on 3 of them. Like this, he's not a good player. I'm not going to go off on him, but just don't listen to Pro Football Focus ever when it comes to offensive lineman grades or stats because there isn't a stat to grade an offensive lineman. There just isn't one. You can grade a team, a unit, offensive line unit based on stuff, but like the running back has so much effect. The quarterback has so much effect on it. Let's just say, especially for a guard, obviously you double team half your plays anyway, so how do you grade them there? But let's say it's an inside zone supposed to go between you and the center, and much like everything that happened this offseason or this preseason with Kylan Hill, so let's say Royce Newman got pushed back, all of a sudden he's behind the center, and Kylan Hill bounced it to the outside and got 10 yards on the outside. It was supposed to be an inside zone. He got 10 yards on an outside zone. That's a positive play for Royce Newman. That means he was graded well. His guy didn't make a play. He didn't get beat, and we got 10 yards out of it. But in reality, he got pushed back. He almost stopped the play from even happening, and it's just because the running back made a decision, bounced it outside, created something out of nothing, and the opposite can be true. The quarterback could fall. A million things can happen, and there isn't a stat for that. Yeah, we're treating Pro Football Focus's opinion as fact, and honestly, like they have so much pull even within locker rooms. They may have gotten him a starting job, and it's pretty pathetic.
I think the best thing about that is like the intelligence. You can tell how dumb it is. Like it's always, I don't know. I never played football a lot, but like when I'm watching, you have two guys to block. You can miss. Just pick one of them to block, like to at least attempt to block. He couldn't even do that. He's like, you know what? Let's push a non-existent pile, and let's push the guy who doesn't have the ball. Because even if you push the ball carrier, that would be productive. So it's like, even mentally, he's not up to the speed. He misses. And it's interesting that you do say that, because my buddy sent me a tweet when I was up north, and he said, oh, gotta admit, Royce Newman has had a good preseason. And I'm like, no, he hasn't. And literally right as I do that, you show, oh yeah, this is not a pressure. When Love has a guy like literally in his face, it's clear. I feel like a lot of it is all the offensive linemen are the same number. They're all big white guys. People don't pay attention. If you could highlight Royce Newman, it would be a completely different story.
You know what that clip reminded me of? When you're playing Madden and you hand the ball off up the middle and you're one-on-one with the linebacker and you go left or right, but you go straight right into the linebacker. I think everyone who's ever played Madden has done that. But that's what it reminded me of. It's like, Trevor, you're right. You pick someone and go get them. Don't grab your own guy, Like, Zach, you outlined a lane that I think Beggleton was receiving that ball. That he had right down the sideline if, Newman gets his ass around and seals that edge, and perfect there. But no, just right into the receiver.
All you had to do is run around him one of the ways. Yeah. Because then Beggleton would have ran right behind him. Like, even if he doesn't hit a guy, Beggleton knows to run right off his ass. That's his aiming point. And right off his ass went straight into Amari Rodgers' ass. And like that's how these plays happen.
It's the Packer version of Human Centipede, but PG.
Yes. It's frustrating. I don't know. Like, and by the way, Royce Newman's not a terrible player, and he's definitely not a player for me, just because he's a finesse inside offensive lineman, which sounds stupid to say out loud, and it's because it is stupid. Like, there's ways to block people. There's different ways to block people. They could, let's just say for a run play, just to keep it super simple, say it's supposed to be a run play to the right of him. You could drive block a guy and bury them into the dirt and, push them to the linebackers, which is what most offensive linemen would try to do. And that's what, that tough old school mentality, that dog mentality, that's what you would want. That's what I like. He would rather give a soft shoulder every single time. And that's why you saw throughout the entire preseason, he never crossed the line of scrimmage, except for when he's running into Amari Rodgers, apparently. Like, he just gives a soft shoulder. So if it's a run to the right, he just wouldn't push with his left hand. He would let the guy go to the left and just sort of fall there. And is that bad? Is that good? Like, I would say it's bad just because it clogs everything up and it could create a bad play. But, if it works, it works, I guess. It's just not for me. And it's not good when your center is the same kind of guy. He's not necessarily finesse, but he whiffs on every block. So you have that. You have Jay Dillon, who's not the most finesse runner. So he's not going to be able to juke and cut back the whole time. So I think that's kind of contrary to this. I don't know. It's just not going to be good. And especially when it's, again, week one, Cameron Jordan lining up on Royce Newman, and Royce Newman gives him a soft shoulder, and then he's in Aaron Rodgers' lap.
Correct. I would be more mad, but I have a new lease on life. I nearly escaped death this weekend. Started off as a great weekend. Go up north, look at my phone, miss the game, although I watch it later. And imagine my surprise when I see Mason Crosby punt, missed a chip shot, Jordan Love 2 turnovers, and we scored no points. And I looked at it, and at first I was surprised, and I was like, well, kind of adds up. But unfortunately, I mean, this is kind of more of how it's going to go, right? Like, this is the last dance. Everybody said it. They're not running it back. I think as of now, the projections are they're going to be $42 million over the cap. So they're going to lose even more good players. This is like the start of the crumbling. Like, this is where the foundation starts to show major cracks. It's unfortunate. I can only hope he gets better, and I hope something happens, but it's hard to be optimistic when the only thing that is optimistic about him is kind of a fake stat.
Yeah, and I guess the starting line now, week 1, is still remains to be seen. It's interesting. They moved Lucas Patrick for that last preseason game to left guard, and it seems like that could be what they do. It seems like it could be Elgton Jenkins, Lucas Patrick, Josh Myers, Royce Newman, Billy Turner. Lucas Patrick's been less than stellar this entire camp as well. And it's not like it's a brand new position for him, but it's definitely not a position he's been working at. And he's had 1 game to do it now. So that's concerning. I don't like how we shuffled the offensive line continuously during the preseason, just because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of chemistry there. But that's what these next 8, 9, 10 days are for, whatever it is. So we will see there. We did get offensive line news with David Bakhtiari today. And it's something we kind of called, I think, back draft time. Like, we were just talking about, it seems like Bakhtiari is going to be out for a long time. And media speculation was saying, oh, he could be ready for week 1. And I guess we just stopped talking about it, but kind of what we were talking about the entire time came true. He's put on the PUP list, which means he misses at least 6 games, which, again, with these offensive line issues outside of Elgton Jenkins and possibly Billy Turner. Billy Turner's not the most trustworthy either. But it's kind of concerning for me, because if Elgton Jenkins goes down, it's really bad news. I'm a little bit nervous, I guess.
Well, yeah, Zach, to speak on that, not getting offensive linemen the reps in their position together, it's like running a basketball team out there who hasn't practiced together and haven't played together much. I mean, it's just setting up disaster. So if that's the route they go, that they're not going to use, similar to what they used in the preseason, then I hope Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon have developed pass blocking very well.
Or it's more like making a fake high school and putting out 30-year-old kids to play a game, a.k.a. Bishop Sycamore. It's same thing too. I kind of laughed that this was kind of news. Like, to your point, we haven't talked about it in a while, but even when he first, it was like, oh, like, look at what he's doing. It's still far away from full contact. And even if he was healthy, we've talked about this. Do you really want him back? Like, week 1, week 2, week 3? No, because if he gets, you do want him back, obviously, but if he gets hurt, then your whole entire season that's already in shambles, if we're talking about contending for a Super Bowl, is completely shot. So I don't see how this is a big surprise, and the earlier you can come back, the better, but you don't want him hurt again.
No, and left tackle, either tackle, is such a tough position for those knee injuries. Especially ACL, MCL, it's so much lateral movement. You talk about running backs coming back, they're smaller guys anyways, but they're also running north and south more than any other, direction. And offensive linemen are going left and right more than any other direction. So it's definitely a tough injury.
You're taking on behemoths of athletes too off the edge.
Yeah. DNs are probably the best athlete on the entire football team.
Yeah.
They're freaks. But yeah, so that's the case there. 6 weeks. Hopefully he comes back strong. Aside from that, we have 9 offensive linemen who made the roster. We talked about earlier, Ben Braden got cut. I thought that was surprising because it seemed like he was a lock to be the starting guard to me. And then they moved him to tackle, and he looked good at tackle, and their offensive line coach said he looked good at tackle as well. So I would assume it wasn't a popular cut in amongst the offensive line group, but here we are. Cole Van Lanen also was cut. That was not terribly surprising. It definitely seemed like a PR draft pick, I guess. But so we have 9 offensive linemen. I think I would have preferred one more, but we got Elgton Jenkins, Billy Turner, Royce Newman, Lucas Patrick, Josh Myers, John Runyon, Dennis Kelly, Josh Nijman, Jake Hansen. Maybe Runyon starts at that left guard spot as well, now that I'm reading it. which isn't bad. I think he's fine. Happy to see Nijman make the team. Good for him. Jesus. But we can talk about these other cuts here, and then just talking about where we maybe should have kept another player or not. But wide receiver, we talked about it's probably 6. We talked about it's probably Malik Taylor being the 6th, and we were right there. So Jawan Winfrey did get cut. I would assume he finds his way on an active roster, but if not, he's definitely a practice squad guy to resign. EQ's gone. He can stay away. Other cuts here, we have one thing that's moving to defensive side of the ball. One thing that surprised me is the Packers kept both Tyler Lancaster and Jack Heflin. Jack Heflin was that undrafted free agent out of Iowa who impressed this offseason or this preseason. And I like that we kept him. It just seems like we kept 2 Tyler Lancasters, except for the actual Tyler Lancaster's hurt. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about that, but that was one of the more surprising moves to me personally.
That's what I was thinking as well. You know, just like you said, it seems like they're kind of played the same. They're the same players, same position, everything. They almost look the exact same. But I'm wondering if this is just a signing that, you know, Heflin played good in the preseason. Let's get him on the roster and get rid of him as soon as Lancaster is available to play. I don't know if that's the reason, but that seems like, you know, a possible reason to me. Because Heflin, you know, great player, great guy. I don't know. I don't think you want him over Lancaster, someone who's had some time, you know, playing with these guys. But who knows, I guess. It just seems to me that Heflin made the team because he played so well in the preseason. And I see him being a casualty maybe week 2 or whenever Lancaster's ready to play.
Yeah, it seems kind of like, I mean, I don't think that's why this is why they do it, but you never know. I mean, you really don't know anything with the moves they make anymore, but it seems like they were kind of looking for that big story, like that, oh, this guy did well, let's reward him with a contract, whether or not that really made sense. I mean, I liked Heflin. Can't argue he looked good, looked more than serviceable. But it is kind of a head scratcher to keep 2 of the same players. Maybe it makes sense, put both of them in and send Dean Lowry to sell beers in the stands. I don't know. Whatever their thing is, we'll see what happens.
And we'll see. Obviously, there's a longer stretch now from cut day to the start of the regular season, so there's going to be a ton of roster moves. We saw a ton of veterans get cut today, and there's a lot of veterans who are good who are still out there. One thing people don't necessarily always think about, if you're an NFL player on an active roster at the start of week 1, then you're guaranteed your entire contract. Whatever it says, you're guaranteed it. Even if you get cut, that guaranteed money or whatever, the non-guaranteed money goes away. You can apply to the league for like termination pay because you were fired in the middle of the season, so you can get your whole contract guaranteed. If you bring on a player week 2, which is scummy, but hey, now their contract's not guaranteed, you can cut them, bring them back on, does not matter. So with players like who I would love to see the Packers sign, let's just say KJ Wright, he's still out there, linebacker, stud linebacker, get him in there. Geno Atkins, if we want to get a defensive lineman, might as well get Geno Atkins or somebody like that. He's still available. We'll see those guys starting to get homes pretty soon. And Trufant just got cut from the Bears. Bring him in to play corner maybe. I could see the Packers making a decision between Tyler Lancaster and Jake Heflin once one of these other guys become available and they want to bring them in.
Yeah, I think that's the move. I mean, it's an easy cut to make because they're kind of the same player. Like, it's not like you're comparing a Kevin King to a Stokes. I mean, it's kind of almost like you have an extra one. So you might as well get rid of one if you can bring somebody in. It's going to be interesting, though. Unfortunately, I don't think they do bring anybody in, only speaking on history alone. I would love to. I think there's definitely some great guys out there. But I think there have been some great guys out there for a long time, and the needle's never moved. So it'll be interesting to see if anything changes. But if one of them is a casualty for a move like that, I don't think you could really complain as long as it's not like a kicker or a punter.
Mm-hmm. And we're also keeping both of them. That means we're 6 deep now at defensive linemen as well. We got Kenny Clark, Dean Lowry as the top 2, Kingsley Keke, TJ Slayton, and then Tyler Lancaster, Jack Heflin. I know for a fact the Packers want to be versatile on defense, have a bunch of different packages. But again, just speaking to what we keep saying, having Lancaster and Heflin doesn't make you more versatile or give you a different look. It's literally just the same exact player with a different number.
Do you think that an idea that they may have is, ended up keeping both of them and just subbing them out every 2 plays?
Maybe. Yeah. At that point, though, I mean, sure, that's fine. I think both will get run and both will get snaps. Whereas, we got 9 offensive linemen. Would it be nice to have a 10th because of the Bakhtiari issue? Yes. Yeah. But it's also going to be guys active on game day that don't get snaps. It's just it's an insurance policy. So if you want to say this is going all in, this is a very minor way, but it kind of is, I guess.
These guys subbing in and out kind of reminds me, for the Badger fans, they'll remember this name and smile. Olive Sagapulu, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Like he was just okay. He's a different beast, but like you sub him in for 2 plays and you're like, okay, this dude's too tired. We got to get his ass out. Like 2 plays later, but it's something that he is a stud. I'm not bagging on him, just a sub in, sub out. So really, just a bad reference comparison, whatever. But at least for that, like some teams like doing that, so that's what they're going to want to do. Sure, I don't know if that's the best, but versatility, right? Versatility.
So I'm on record saying that I don't watch a lot of college football, so I don't know the name that you're talking about. But is he the guy who could do a backflip?
Yeah. On the beach and sand, yeah.
Okay.
Big Hawaiian guy. Yeah, he's big dude. Moving to inside linebacker, we kept 5. Chris Barnes, Devondre Campbell will be the starting 2 inside linebackers. We got Oren Burks and Ty Summers to be the backups. And then we have Isaiah McDuffie to play special teams, who should be good on special teams, but if he sees the field on defense, we're in trouble. Because again, it's pretty much Trevor out there in pads. And no offense to Trevor, but I think he might get washed a little bit in the run game, just slightly.
It's like when you were mentioning the names, it kind of reminds me of the movie Grown Ups when they're at the water park and the one guy has the 2 really hot daughters and then the third. That's kind of how I feel with the starters. Like I like the starters, like they're good, and they get to the second string, and you're like, oh, and then McDuffie is like the middle stepchild that nobody pays attention to. It's like, no. Like special teams, he's decent, but I mean, overall roster spot, it stings a little bit when that's all you can do. If Barnes and Campbell can stay on the field, awesome. That's going to be a great linebacker duo. I don't think any of us are naive enough to think that's going to happen for 17 games.
On top of that, let's remember the Packers have a Week 13 bye. So you're talking about 12 games in a row, and this defense is going to wear down. I mean, that's just natural. 12 weeks in a row is a long, long time. And
especially with all the pass rushing and blitzing, that's got to roll on your body right away.
Yeah, these guys are asked to go outside your position, outside your responsibilities, and make plays. That's what Joe Barry says. And they're also supposed to fly around, hit people in the backfield. I'm scared. I'm really scared.
I think he's trying to create the Legion of Boom, but he has a very poor idea of what made them great. That's just what it feels like. Like, I want those guys to swarm. Okay, well, how do they swarm? Blitz. Okay, what the hell are you going to do when they throw a pass? Pray. Like, it's not how it works. That's why he hasn't worked really anywhere. It'll be entertaining, that is for sure. It'll be must-watch television because any play, either team can score a 99-yard touchdown.
That's why I'm like, DFS week 1, start Jameis Winston because he's going to chuck it. Yeah, just figure out who Jair's going to be on, if it's Traquan Smith or if it's Marquez Callaway, and just choose the other one because they're going to have 2 touchdowns and 120 yards.
There's no way Jameis Winston's checking down to Alvin Kamara like Drew Brees has done the last 4 years.
No.
They're going to call it like everybody's going to block for a screen, and he's just going to be like, my guy's out there somewhere. You're just going to lean back, and it's going to become a meme.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait for it.
I'm here for it, honestly. It's going to be funny because Twitter is going to melt down. They're going to be like, holy crap, we didn't know this. And it's going to be like, well, that's kind of funny because you should have, but it'll be fun.
It'll be something. Especially because he knows once they get to the red zone, they put in Taysom Hill too. So he's making sure they never snap in the red zone. Like, let's just score before that.
The closest we're getting is a 21-yard line.
Yeah, exactly. Never go in. Going to outside backers here, we kept 5 as well. This is slightly, or not surprising. It's not surprising, except for the last one. We have Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary. Those are locks. Jonathan Garvin's been solid. And then Chauncey Rivers was kind of like the last guy on roster, basically. It was either him or Jack Heflin. So I could see him getting moved for somebody else possibly. But, sure, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just to talk about him for a second here, Chauncey Rivers, just from what I was watching and listening to on the radios driving through, sounded like he made a lot of tackles on kickoff team. It just seems like another special teamer to me. I was flying around with the ball in special teams, which is never bad to have considering Packer likes to have long returns on kick and punt.
It's good. Now we have 2 players that can make a play. We just need to find the other how many? So that's a good start. Hey, boys, we talk about special teams. We talk about making plays. J.K. Scott, Mr. Avoiding Contact, is gone. So now there's like a 99% chance we will never give up punt return more than 15 yards. Maybe because the new guy punts it out of bounds after 10, but hey, our punter is going to lay the wood.
I was working my way through the defense, but we can talk about that here. The Packers traded for a new punter.
I just wanted to slander J.K. Scott, okay? Anybody that punts with their foot on the ground is a moron. That is it.
Yeah, he sucks. And he cramped up during last game. That's why he made 80-year-old Mason Crosby punt, which is insane. And it's also insane that the Packers let him. Do we need to punt in the preseason? What are we doing?
Like, J.K. Scott had, 6 good games. He threw Mason Crosby to the wolves literally when he threw him a pass. And I was like, no, you're supposed to give it back to me. I said, I got a cramp. Here, old man, Silver Fox, you do it while everybody's going at you with no offensive line. So,
I didn't want to look this up, but did we draft J.K. Scott in the 5th round?
I think so.
5th. Okay. So the Packers traded a 6th rounder for a 7th round and their punter, Corey Bojorquez, I'm going to go with, who seems like a decent punter. He had a 70-yard punt during the preseason, so he's got a boot. We'll see if he can do it consistently. That kind of means the Packers have used a 6th round and a 5th round pick on one punter for the last few years, and that's kind of sad.
Well, what are we going to use that pick on? Offensive lineman that whiffs, so I don't see a loss here.
I guess. I mean, the 5th, we could have gotten,
Kamal Martin for a season?
Shamar Jean-Charles, who's been a stud. I'm going more positive. I'm being positive. We could have got Kamal Martin, who actually kind of looked good, though, too. Maybe 5th rounds are sweet spot. Who knows? So we got that trade. We cut J.K. Scott. We currently are at 52 guys on roster. This punter should be 53. I don't know. It's definitely an upgrade. Anybody else is an upgrade. I think I would have preferred just to sign Thomas Morstead, but sure, whatever. Who cares? He's cheap.
Also, he still has the flow, right, Morstead?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay, so for that reason alone, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's going to land somewhere in week 2, week 3 for sure. He's very, very good at his job. Going back here to the defense, cornerback room, I think is about as predictable as this roster got. And I think we made good decisions. Not saying it's a good room, but we got Jair Alexander, Kevin King, Eric Stokes, Chandon Sullivan, Shamar John Charles, and then Isaac Yadam, who we traded Josh Jackson for. Predictable 6. I think a decent 6. We'll see how healthy this 6 stays. Again, 12 games in a row. You think Kevin King's going to make it to week 13? Active?
He's not going to make it to week 1, second quarter.
If he does, good. I hope he does, because then he'll probably be playing fine. But that's a lot to ask. 12 weeks is a lot.
I don't think Kevin King could start off with a better quarterback to play against than Jameis Winston week 1.
Fair. That's very I was thinking that too before it was Jameis Winston. When I was thinking it was Taysom Hill, I'm like, Kevin King, everyone's going to be praising him because we got Taysom Hill and he's going to be going up against Traquan Smith. Like, he can't mess this up. Now it's Jameis, so maybe he can mess this up, but boy, he's going to have so little responsibility. Just don't get hurt, and I think he's fine.
I mean, isn't you can't mess this up kind of the story of his life the past year? End of the second half, just don't let him get past you. That's what he does. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's got the confidence. He's said all the things he's needed to say. You better back it up, because if you play the way you did in the NFC Championship game, talk a big game, and then are shit again, you might be the laughing stock of the Packers, biggest one since I can't even remember who.
Yeah, I wish I had a good name for you. I don't even know. But
do you guys think that this is the best defensive back group that they've had since Woodson and Al Harris?
Probably. Honestly, I think by default, but yeah.
Wasn't there No, Hyde was a safety, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say Shields and Hyde, we had some, but no. Yeah, probably.
But I mean, safety, we can talk about that. They have a good starting duo, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. I think by all counts, that's a solid 1-2 at free and strong. Flip those, but yeah. And then we got Vernon Scott and Henry Black to back him up. Henry Black, people have been saying he's had a good camp. He's had some really, really bad moments in camp. And now not even just talking preseason games. He was burnt on more than one occasion badly by Jace Sternberger in practice. So if we could replace him, I would feel a little bit more comfortable with this group. But it's hard to argue, at least with the top 2. That's a group. What's your opinion? I think I would be fully okay with 5 safeties and 5 defensive linemen instead of having an extra D lineman. I feel like safety is a position you want, especially for special teams.
Especially with the players you have on defensive line. We just talked about how Heflin and Lancaster are the same player.
Yeah.
But safety, just like I've been saying all along with Adrian Amos playing up in the run, safeties, are tough motherfuckers. They can play. They get up in the box. They can play deep. So you're going to need someone who can play, and when they do get hurt, that's a tough spot to fill. So it doesn't hurt having 2 or 3 extra.
Yeah, I mean, the one good/bad thing about all this, just like cornerback, linebacker, I mean, it is with most teams, but especially with the Packers, if any one of the top 2 gets hurt, really hurt, we're screwed anyways. It's like the Peyton Manning years of the Colts. So, the backup, you'd like to have it, but this team needs so much to go right to make it deep, to even make it to the Super Bowl, that, if you're really going all in, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, if you want any indication of how good the Packers' depth is, go back and watch all 3 preseason games where we got destroyed. That was the depth. That's our depth. And yeah, not good. It's not good. There was a safety cut today, and I want to know your guys' opinion about possibly bringing him back. Clinton Dix was cut from the 49ers, and I'm not saying he's good at football, but I think I'm saying he's better than Henry Black. What's your guys' thoughts on possibly bringing him back, especially just because he's not a scrub? He can at the very least play special teams, and he does seem like a guy who could thrive as like that box safety guy.
That's what I was going to bring up. He's a first-round pick for a reason. He could play coming out of college. Packers had him. Pass coverage not great, but he's a tough guy too. I think he even if they want to put 8 in the box for whatever reason, I think that's a perfect role for him. And he's quick. He's as an eye for the ball. Throw him on special teams. Put him right next to Chauncey Rivers, and that's 2 guaranteed tackles right there. They're going to get to the ball quick and fast.
Remember when we all thought that Clinton Dix would be one of the best safeties? And maybe not everybody, but the majority of fans. And then we traded him. We're like, wow, we got fleeced. And in reality, we destroyed them on that trade. He's a good player. The only thing that I would kind of knock it for is, you saw Packer fans. Aaron Rodgers said nothing. They were super vindictive about it. They still are. I wonder if how he left and all of that would play a role into it. I don't think so, but if fans start booing, I don't think that's a great situation to be in for him or the locker room having to defend him. And then if he plays well or bad, that would be tough. But, that's really the only knock on him. Again, if he's your third safety, you're perfectly fine.
Speaking of Packer fans for a second, there was so much negativity today around the David Bakhtiari news. Like, unbelievable amount of negativity about look, he's doing it again. We paid him all this money and he can't play. Like, if this is you, please just stop cheering for the team. Like, you were very stupid. There's some people who thought it was another injury, which obviously you should go fall in a hole somewhere because you're fucking dumb.
Not a hole. Hole isn't deep enough.
Fair enough. It's just stupid. And it makes me mad just because I don't know if there's a more likable player on the entire team than David Bakhtiari. But this is a 300-pound guy who tore his ACL in January, which is, by all accounts, horrible. That's the worst time to tear your ACL. It's not like he had a mid-season injury. He was about to go to the Super Bowl and he tore his ACL. Give him a half year.
Yeah, he's kind of carried Wisconsin on his back. Beer chugs at Bucks games. Never had an ounce of bad in him. He's always been great. You saw him putting in the work before training camp. We were talking about, he obviously wasn't taking it light. He wasn't sitting on the bench not doing his rehab. He's doing everything he can. He's one of the best. It just seems weird what battles they pick. And this, I hate to bring Jordan Love into it, but Jordan Love seems to be defended by everybody. And you have a guy who's proven great guy, has always been about the team and the state, and now you're bashing him on an ACL, like you said, for a 300-pound guy. It was incredible when Adrian Peterson came back in, 7 months? This dude's, double his freaking size, and he's supposed to be back in, 6? It just doesn't make sense to me.
My thoughts on Packer fans, just because you brought that up, Zach, and I've been talking to some people about this, but I think there's a lot of Packer fans who still think that we're in 1962 with Vince Lombardi running the team, where every single player needs to play through every single injury, and no player can talk out or can go to Hawaii for the offseason or anything like that. No, people, medicine's evolved since then. We know that we need to take breaks. Especially with the 17-week season. So I think a lot of, I think at least here in Green Bay, there's a lot of elderly Packer fans who are kind of, seems to be in that boat. So I wonder if that's where a lot of hate comes from. And if you ever want to find hate for any single player or team or even anything in the world, just go on Facebook and check out the comment section after the old people took it over.
I think the best thing, too, is Twitter. It's the people that were clearly raised by them. Everybody's like, oh, great player. Too bad he only played 5 years. Yeah, why do you think it was? Because people told him to play on fucking torn ACLs. That's how you do it. And then your money's really down the drain.
It's unbelievable. It totally is. People who they view the Packers as a TV show, and this is a character who didn't come back for this season. How could they not do this? They're superheroes, they're humans, and now there's an extra game.
Great.
Yeah, that too.
My favorite part about the fans when Aaron Rodgers was, we didn't show up to training camp, and people said, "Oh, if I didn't show up to my job, I'd be fired." And then everyone would be saying, "Yeah, but you don't make 17 million, or you don't make 35 or whatever $1 million a year. Your job is to entertain every single person on earth."
Yeah, you don't drop a 60-yard pass off your back leg with the guy in your grill into a bucket. You fucking do paperwork and type in your name at the top of the page and feel special. Like, no, there's a difference here.
Completely different. It's the people who have never set foot on the basketball court or on the football field or anything like that. Like they've turned their ankle, but it's been to walking to the car when it's icy. Like it's the people who have never done anything with their lives, to be completely honest.
I could have made the league, but or you should have seen me in my glory days. Either or.
They turn their ankle getting up off the couch after trying to find the remote that dropped when the commercial comes on during a Packer game.
Right, yeah. They wanted to turn it off.
Life alerts around their neck.
Aaron Rodgers State Farm. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about the roster cuts or people you want them to get or anything? I think we kind of covered it all.
I will raise a question to you guys. Sorry, Trevor. But Ben Kurt got cut. Do you think he ends up anywhere else?
I would think so. Like he really proved it. I think he proved that he should be a backup quarterback. The Falcons signed Josh Rosen to be their quarterback too. I almost wonder if they re-signed Ben Kurt and give Rosen the boot, or just keep 3 quarterbacks. That seems the most obvious to me.
Yeah, because watching that Falcons game, Rosen didn't look good. Like, he made one really good play, one really good pass. Other than that, like, he was a dumbass, like, trying to throw it while he's already halfway on the ground being sacked. Like, there is definitely a place for him. And I think the other thing is he's a smart and likable guy, too. Like, it's not like a Cam Newton who's, like, over the hill and has a big name but is not really liked. Like, even if you pick him up just for a backup to be loved by the fans, for some teams it's going to work.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. Especially when you think about, you want someone decent at quarterback too, simply to lead the scout offense, to give the defense a good look. I think he's a fairly mobile guy. He's got that gunslinger thing. He can make any throw, kind of like a Mahomes. Like, he's gonna chuck it. So I think he can mimic a lot of quarterbacks, which is also a really useful tool to have, on your roster.
I think the thing is too is that he knows what's going on and how to play quarterback.
Yeah. Our quarterback too does not, but yeah.
You talked about like bringing people in. I think there's one hole we haven't talked about, and that's the GM. I think we should bring somebody in for that. And just the whole board, just like in those cool movie scenes where I like take the whole board down. It's like, yeah, like fight the power. We should do that, but like for real.
Trevor, I thought you were going to say the hole that we need to fill is 4-string running back with Todd Gurley out on the.
That too. Hey, I did say it would be him and Galladay. Now Galladay got his bag for playing 2 games last season. Gurley's still there. We talked about Heflin and Lancaster. Well, if you can't get one of the big names, might as well get Gurley. He might not have knees, but in the case that knee regeneration is found, that kind of technology. Guess who's still going to fall short of a Super Bowl? The Packers, but we'll have Todd Gurley. So
it's a win.
Yeah.
I guess I am not even going to add to that. I refuse. Frank Gore still doesn't have a team. Tell me how that's possible.
I would like to make I talked about like my near-death experience. I think it's a really good metaphor for the Packers, how they are right now. So we're going on a ferry to the island, right? We're in a car. They packed us near the very back, and the gate holding us up did not come all the way up. I could not open the door because it was stuck. So it was like this. And we started moving. We started hitting big waves. The big waves is like Aaron Rodgers and all the decisions Good is making. And I shit you not, the door started going down. Now, our car did not fall in the water, but the Packers' metaphorical car will fall into the water soon. So it's interesting to see these Don't look at me like that, Luke. We fist bump all the time.
No, where were you?
I was in Door County. I went to Washington Island. But anyways, moral of the story: don't go to Washington Island. And just like the black RAV4 that was constantly being sprayed by the water, the Packers, if they are on the open sea with Gutekunst at the helm for too long, will also be underwater. That really held no relation, but I was gonna say I wanted to try. I wanted to try something. Okay, don't sue me. Whatever. Okay, Janet isn't here. What is she gonna say?
Speaking of water, Hurricane Ida is going on down south, and the Packers.
Perfect segue. You're welcome.
Yeah, I saved it. Luke hasn't figured out, or hasn't
what is that?
Given our,
what is that?
He hasn't given our idea to lock in a hurricane.
A dome.
We talked about a Simpsons movie like Dome to contain this thing. We predicted this just like a month ago. Like, I can't believe people didn't listen.
Are we the new Simpsons? That's what some people are saying.
Awesome. Some people are.
Maybe the Packers drown and I just called it. I don't know. Maybe Gutekunst dies by drowning. If it does, come back here. You're welcome.
The whole team
bus is watching. No, I didn't know.
The whole team bus falls off the ferry as they're traveling up to Washington Island.
That's right.
I don't know if I'd feel bad. Kind of like, damn, like I predicted that, or just, oh man, that would be an interesting time as a Packer fan. Hopefully, Goot's on the bus too, right? Maybe that was a little dark. I don't know.
I'll agree with you, but like to my point here. So because the Hurricane Week 1 game is going to get moved, and scheduling gods are kind of working in our favor here, so most likely it's going to be moved to Dallas, which is pretty much a home game for Aaron Rodgers, and it eliminates a road game for us. Road game in the Superdome, which is obviously a hostile environment. It's one of the only true home field advantages in the league. We get that off the table, move to a neutral location, playing against a wiped out Saints team that is just now implementing their offense because they picked a quarterback. Joe Barry is going to start off probably on a good foot. We're going to give up a couple long touchdowns a la the Joe Barry way, but I think it's probably going to be a pretty easy win. Packers are still favored by only 3 points. I'm feeling good. I don't know. I think this is a big W for us.
I still think they should move the game to Lambeau.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
It could be really interesting. I think this could get really ugly really quick for the Saints. I can see a scenario where, I mean, we know what we have with the Packers offense. They're going to be methodical. They're going to score a lot. The Saints, not a horrible defense, but they're not what they were. If Barry can get pressure to Winston early, I don't know how much a year of talking to Drew Brees and not actually experiencing gameplay can like get his mind right from where he was in Tampa. And I can see him if he gets hit a couple times, there are turnovers, that the score starts going away and away. I can see him kind of forcing a lot, going back into old habits, in which case it's just going to be a murder. It's going to be like every Bears Jay Cutler game ever against the Packers. The other way is I can also kind of see this kind of being where they kind of go tick for tack with the Packers, not because they're as good as us, but because of our defense. And I'm a little worried about that. I still think the Packers are going to win, but I don't know if I'm as confident as you.
I know I just said it too, but with Jameis Winston checking down to Alvin Kamara, it's not going to happen. But I'm wondering if with all the blitzing, that'd be a big Alvin Kamara screen kind of day.
It should be.
Yeah.
It's going to be open, I would assume. This is a big Matt LaFleur game. Like, this is going to tell us a lot just because I think the Saints' run defense will beat our run offense. I think they can completely destroy our offensive line. I think they can plug up every hole. We don't need, as much as LaFleur would like to believe, we don't need the play action game to set up. We don't need the running game to set up play action to set up the pass. I think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams can probably do all right without it. And that's just going to be what it has to be. Rodgers needs to be in gun. Hopefully Myers has a good day snapping the ball. And just the receivers that the Packers have, they should be able to score every single drive. Like, there's no excuse not to score.
I could see this being a big MVS game too. I can see the Saints like just overloading on Devontae, and then if you do a lot to beat the run game, I'm not saying they're to sell out on it, but if you do start selling out or putting a lot in the box for the run game and do try to double Devontae, whatever, MVS is going to be open down the middle. It's just whether he makes a catch. So I think it could be a big game for him. One that kind of we've seen before that causes people to just run like madmen for him in fantasy, and they does nothing all year. But if he gets us the win, that's all that matters. He'll be open.
Speaking of Matt LaFleur, you guys see that he's got the best winning percentage as a current head coach right now?
Yeah, all him.
Yeah, right.
Not that where we play the Lions twice a year. We still barely beat them, but
Or that he inherited a good team with Aaron Rodgers,
But Love is the future, so what can Rodgers really give you? That's the real question.
This is interesting. Okay, so your honest opinions now. We saw Jordan Love for 6 quarters or so.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with Trevor, work your way over. What was your honest takeaway of Jordan Love? You can give him a grade. You can do whatever. Just what's your thoughts on him now and moving forward?
I don't think it's really changed that much. I think I've settled down a little bit because I've finally come to the acceptance stage of the grief. But everybody's like, oh, look at him making these throws against the Bills. Yeah, there were, I think, 2 good throws past 7 yards downfield, past the line of scrimmage. And even on some of the checkdowns, it was behind or the receivers had to stop. Now, when he had some good throws, He used the feet, but I also saw him taking some hits too and not getting down for no reason, like when he swarmed. So overall, I don't think his mental game is really there. His accuracy is hit and miss. I don't really have a grade for it because, we've seen him against good players, but I don't think we've seen him in a real game scenario. But I don't think anything's changed. I think, if anything, I know he can have good moments, but it's so inconsistent. I don't know how you put any basis on it.
That's kind of the same room that I'm in. I think I thought he played fine. He played all right for 6 quarters. I think he played, I'll say, a lot better than some people's expectations and a lot worse than some people's expectations. But the one thing that I noticed with him, and I think it happens with a lot of young quarterbacks, is the uncomfortability in the pocket because it seems like they're always want to escape the pocket as much as possible. And finally, when they're in the pocket, they don't step up with pressure behind them. And that ends up, get hit on a throw, you fake tear your shoulder, and you fumble the ball. But the one thing that didn't surprise me, considering he played in Utah State and led the country in interceptions, was that interception he threw to Micah Hyde.
That's bad. Yeah.
Rolling out to the right, falling backwards, just throwing like Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary up in the air. I guess you're going to get that out of young quarterbacks, but still, you shouldn't get it out of young quarterbacks because I don't think it takes a genius to know that you shouldn't throw it straight up in the air into triple coverage to your backup receiver.
And he did that before too.
Yeah. So that worries me. Obviously, we have been blessed with Aaron Rodgers that the dude just does not throw interceptions. So it'll be interesting to see if he does go down, how that changes. I would surely assume that the Packers would be minus in the turnovers on the year. But no, I thought he played fine. He played a lot better than I thought that he was. But it's not saying much as the quarterback who led the league led college in interceptions coming out of Utah State.
Yeah, that interception specifically, both in that game really, but that one to Micah Hyde, that looked super, super Utah State. Yeah. We saw that play over and over in college. Just go back and look at his junior tape, I guess it would have been. It was bad. He just got a little bit flustered, and then there wasn't anything there. He just kind of saw his guy and whipped it up. But that's a young quarterback, whatever. Who cares?
Right.
My biggest thing with him, and this is an offensive system built for the quarterback to succeed in the easiest way possible. It's the Shanahan system. And going back to Mike Shanahan, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo, we've seen Nick Mullins, we've seen CJ Beathard, we've seen these super, super terrible quarterbacks, high percentage throws, it's play action, it's super easy.
Matt Ryan won an MVP off of Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Exactly. Like it's the easiest offense. It's built for a quarterback. So honestly, if Jordan Love comes in, it's not like I think you just plug in Jordan Love last year. Do the Packers go from 13 wins to 3 wins? No, I think we're probably a 7-win team. Like he's not going to win a game by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he's fine. My biggest thing with him so far is the Packers drafted him, and say what you want, and it's kind of laughable. They drafted him to be Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
When LaFleur was with the Tennessee system, he wants him to be exactly Mariota. He wants to be able to move the offensive line, move the pocket, use his legs, make some high percentage throws, be an accurate guy. But here's the thing. He's not an accurate quarterback. He's just not at all. Like I think he was making good reads, and he just throws it off target every fucking time. Clean pocket, no pocket, does not matter. But then you're talking about he did get out of the pocket a little bit, didn't look comfortable in the pocket. He didn't move the pocket with his legs. I don't know if he scrambled one time. Like he's a mobile guy, and he's just seems really hesitant to do that. I'm a little bit nervous about that. He's just not special, I guess. Like if you're actually asking who has more upside, Kurt Benkert or Jordan Love, I think it's equal. And that's not good. Like this is a first round guy, and I don't think he has first round skills. I don't think he has a first round ceiling. I think he has Daniel Jones ceiling. Like if you think Daniel Jones and want to make fun of the Giants for him being a terrible quarterback, I think Daniel Jones has way more upside than Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love's ceiling is where Daniel Jones is now. Plain and simple. Yeah. Minus the turnovers.
And the turf monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that Mariota comparison is that I think Mariota threw 6 interceptions in his whole college career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Jordan Love.
Right.
So, yeah. And I think, every indication is that the Packers move on from Rodgers after this year. I don't think Jordan Love gave them any reason not to this preseason. He certainly gave them reason to pause. They're not fully convinced. And that was shown by them faking a shoulder injury and making sure he didn't get hurt against the Jets, basically, and holding him out. So maybe there's more hesitancy than I think. But overall, I do believe that they feel comfortable moving on from Aaron Rodgers. The cap situation certainly points to them needing to do so. And, it's going to be fun having an average team because we still don't have money. After we move on from Aaron Rodgers, we still don't have money next year, which is great.
Yeah, if I had one piece of advice, and I haven't gone in a while. I'm going to 2 games this year, maybe even 3. Go to a game this year, at least 1, maybe 2 if you can. They might not win, they might not lose, but this is, for all intents and purposes, this is the last game for probably a very, very, very long time that we will see one of the greats of all time. And we've had that since Favre, which is extremely lucky. Most teams don't even have that for 1 year, but make sure you go and appreciate it and soak it in because it's not going to be here for a long time, whether we like it or not. That's just not how it works.
I recommend week 2 Monday night against the Lions because Lambeau Field is going to be popping.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I was looking. That was not a super expensive game either.
No, it shouldn't be. I don't
Steelers
think
was super expensive, which interesting. I might go to the Browns game too. It's on Christmas, but fuck it, they're cheap. Family can wait. I see them 364 days a year anyways.
I'll be there. Janet will be there. We gotta get Lombardi sweep there.
That honestly,
maybe.
Hey, if I can throw it off as a work event, what are they gonna say? No, shit. Well, that's what Christmas Eve was made for. So that people could do fun stuff on Christmas.
Fair enough. It's a Christmas Day game, not Christmas Eve.
Yep, Christmas Day.
Might have to do that. Live Lombardi sweep Christmas Day. Heard it here first. coming from Lambeau somewhere.
On the field.
On the field.
We might be behind the water cooler, but we'll be on it. We might get kicked off in 10 seconds. We'll be on it.
I can guarantee in-game interview with TJ Slayton. I think I can lure him over, distract him enough to come over to have a nice interview.
Hey, we got some more oxygen over here.
Anything. Do you guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No, I just want to shout out Usain Bolt for being a Packer fan. I feel like I'm finding out new people are Packer fans every day.
Oh, you just found that out?
I found it out a while ago, and it just slipped my mind.
It'll be interesting to see how many of those go down once they're not elite for 20 years in a row again. It'll go down a decent amount. So enjoy that while you can as well. Famous people caring about the Packers.
But Anthony Davis cannot be a fan of the Packers anymore, and I'd be perfectly fine.
I don't believe him. I don't think he's a Packer,
right?
No.
Yeah.
Like he wants. Like I'm so relatable. I like the small town team.
Right.
He was definitely that dude in high school that picked the Packers just to piss the other people off that liked the Bears. I don't remember where he went to high school, but either way.
Somewhere in Chicago.
Oh, yeah, well, definitely.
There you go.
He did that just to be an asshole.
Yeah, he's from Chicago.
Well, fuck Anthony Davis, as we always say.
Yep.
Shout out to
Play
everyone
center.
not Anthony Davis.
Stop
What?
hiding and play center. You're 7 feet tall.
I feel like Luke's getting something off his chest. Luke,
This is a
there's
different
tears in Luke's
podcast,
eyes.
man. We're going to have a Bucks podcast pretty soon.
I need to. I have lots of thoughts on the Bucks. So.
Not with you. You're not allowed.
Fair enough. Fine. This was Lombardi Sweep. We'll be back breaking down the week 1 game next week. See ya.